Paris, 1991. It's Fashion Week. Cameras are flashing, designers are whispering, and the room is buzzing until she walks in. Linda Evangelista. Tall, elegant, fierce, and suddenly, the whole room stops. She wasn't just a supermodel. She was the supermodel. The woman Vogue once called the most beautiful in the world. She ruled runways, changed fashion, redefined beauty. But behind the face that lit up magazines was a secret no one saw coming. In 2015, Linda made a personal choice, a decision she thought would help her stay beautiful. But instead, it left her disfigured, depressed, and completely out of the public eye. For 5 long years, she disappeared. No interviews, no runway, no answers. And the world wondered what happened. This isn't just the fall of a fashion icon. It's a story about beauty, pain, survival, and a secret that nearly destroyed one of the most powerful women fashion has ever known. Stay with us. This is Linda Evangelista's untold truth. Linda Evangelista wasn't some lucky girl discovered at a mall. She earned every spotlight. Born in St. Catharines, Canada, Linda had one goal: to model, and to model better than anyone. She didn't just show up to photo shoots, she trained. She studied fashion history, practiced poses in the mirror, and flew across countries chasing opportunity after opportunity. In an industry known for its chaos, Linda brought discipline. She didn't wait to be chosen, she prepared to be unforgettable. By the late 1980s, everything changed. She met fashion photographer Stephen Maisel, and the two created magic. Their shoots weren't just stylish, they were art. Every photo told a story, every look shaped the next trend. Together, they didn't just land covers, they redefined what beauty looked like. Then came 1988. Linda walked into a salon and chopped off her hair. It was bold, sharp, short, and it caused chaos. Suddenly, designers dropped her. She was called too edgy, too different. For a moment, her career seemed at risk. But then, it happened. That haircut sparked a global trend. Women across the world copied it. It was powerful. It was fresh. It was Linda. They called it the Linda effect. And it proved one thing. She didn't follow fashion. She led it. But there was one moment still ahead. A single campaign that wouldn't just make her famous. It would make her a legend. What pushed Linda from fashion royalty to a global pop culture icon? That moment is next. It was 1990, and music was about to meet fashion in the most iconic way. Pop star George Michael released the music video for Freedom, but instead of starring in it himself, he cast supermodels. And front and center, Linda Evangelista. Alongside Naomi Campbell, Christy Turlington, and Cindy Crawford, she didn't just pose. She owned the screen. No catwalk, no ad campaign, just raw power, confidence, and attitude. That video launched Linda from fashion star to pop culture icon. From there, her rise was unstoppable. She graced over 600 magazine covers, walked for every top designer, Versace, Chanel, Dior, and became the face of a generation. And then came the line that defined her era. She once said, "We don't wake up for less than $10,000 a day." It was bold. It was shocking. And the world couldn't stop talking about it. That quote became a symbol, not just of her status, but of the power supermodels now held. Linda wasn't just part of the industry, she changed it. But then, something shifted. In the early 2000s, she started pulling away, skipped events, canceled appearances, turned down interviews, and little by little, she disappeared. For a while, no one noticed. Then it became impossible to ignore. The woman who once ruled fashion had vanished, completely. No photos, no press, just silence. And it stayed that way for 5 long years. But what could drive one of the most powerful women in fashion to walk away at her peak? The answer was darker and far more personal than anyone could have imagined. In 2015, Linda Evangelista made a decision millions of people make every year. She booked a cool sculpting treatment, a non-invasive procedure meant to freeze and eliminate small pockets of fat. Nothing extreme, just a little contouring, a touch-up. The promise: no surgery, no scars, no downtime. It was marketed as safe, simple, effective. But for Linda, it became a nightmare. Instead of slimming her figure, her body did the opposite. She developed a rare condition called paradoxical adipose hyperplasia, or PAH. It's so rare most people, even doctors, have never seen it. Cool sculpting is supposed to destroy fat cells, but PAH grows them. In lumps, in firm, misshaped bulges. Areas that once looked smooth became hardened and swollen. And worst of all, it's permanent. Linda didn't just see her appearance change, she saw her identity slip away. She stopped working, stopped going out, avoided mirrors, and even avoided herself. She spiraled into deep depression. She felt betrayed by her body, by the treatment, and by the silence that followed. No press release, no support, just confusion and shame. For 5 years, the world assumed she'd stepped away from fame on her own terms. But behind closed doors, she was battling something no one could see, and few would believe. So how dark did things really get? And why did someone so powerful stay silent for so long? The truth is heavier than anyone expected. After the cool sculpting procedure, Linda didn't just step out of the spotlight, she vanished from it. No runways, no red carpets, no photos. She stopped modeling. She stopped attending events. She even stopped seeing the people closest to her. The emotional pain ran deeper than anyone knew. Linda described herself as being brutally disfigured. Not by time, not by age, but by a treatment that promised beauty and delivered heartbreak. She hit it home, turning down offers, canceling plans, even avoiding mirrors because she couldn't stand the sight of her own reflection. But the hardest part? She couldn't let her own son see her. What do you do when your body becomes something you don't recognize? When the image the world once celebrated becomes a source of shame? Behind closed doors, Linda suffered in silence. Finally, in 2021, she filed a $50 million lawsuit against Cool Sculpting's parent company, alleging emotional trauma, permanent physical damage, destruction of her career. But even then, she stayed quiet. No interviews, no press tour, just legal paperwork and painful isolation. The woman who once commanded the world's attention was now trapped in fear. So what changed? What moment gave Linda the strength to step forward and share her truth? It wasn't a magazine. It wasn't a paycheck. It was something far more human, something every one of us can relate to. In 2022, after nearly a decade in silence, Linda Evangelista stepped back into the public eye. The world gasped. There she was, on the cover of British Vogue. But this wasn't a triumphant return to red carpets and flashing cameras. This was something different, deliberate, controlled, brave. Behind the scenes, it took more than just makeup. It took face taping, carefully designed lighting, and precise styling to make the shoot possible. Everything was curated to protect her, not from judgment but from pain. This wasn't glamour. This was survival, on her own terms. "I miss modeling," Linda said softly. "But I can't just walk into a shoot anymore." The face once called the most beautiful in the world was now speaking with vulnerability, not perfection. She wasn't trying to erase the past. She wasn't hiding anymore. She was standing in front of the lens, not to be adored, but to be seen. No filters, no false confidence, just truth. It was a moment of reclamation, not of a career, but of identity. She proved you don't need to look perfect to be powerful. You don't need to be flawless to be whole. But after decades of being defined by beauty, what does it really mean to live beyond it? When Linda Evangelista finally began to speak, she didn't hold back. In her first raw interviews, she opened the door to everything she had hidden. The mental health battles, the loneliness, the slow, silent pain of aging in a world that once worshipped her face. She talked about what it felt like to be invisible, to be a woman who was once the face of power and beauty, now feeling forgotten, not by time, but by a culture that equates worth with youth. But Linda didn't just talk. She acted. She shot a campaign for Fendi, not for glamour, not to prove anything, but to send a simple, powerful message. "I'm still here." No apologies, no edits, just presence. While many supermodels faded into comfort zones, Linda stood out, not for how she looked, but for what she faced. And she didn't face it alone. Christy Turlington, one of her closest friends, became her lifeline. Christy called. She visited. She never let Linda disappear completely. In a world full of flashbulbs and fake friends, that kind of loyalty, it's rare. And it's real. Linda wasn't chasing the past anymore. She was shaping a new kind of legacy, one rooted in honesty, not illusion. But just as she started to find her light again, another storm was coming, one that would test her resilience all over again. Just as Linda Evangelista was learning to stand in her truth, the unthinkable happened. She was diagnosed with breast cancer. It wasn't something she shared right away. No headlines, no press, just quiet strength. She underwent a double mastectomy, faced brutal treatments, and spent months recovering, completely out of the spotlight. But this time, it wasn't about beauty. It wasn't about image. It was about survival, once again. "I just wanted to live," she later revealed. There was no performance. No need to prove anything, just a woman fighting for her life. And yet, Linda didn't disappear. Instead of retreating, she leaned into healing. This battle changed her, but it didn't break her. It lit a new fire, one that pushed her towards something deeply personal. A project, a mission, a chance to take her entire journey, pain, beauty, fame, silence, and shape it into something lasting. She wasn't chasing cameras or campaigns. She was reaching for closure, not the kind that ends a chapter, the kind that reclaims it. Because even when cancer came for her body, it couldn't touch her spirit. And now, Linda was finally ready to reveal the one piece that would help her reclaim her identity, once and for all. In 2023, Linda Evangelista did something bold, something she'd waited years to do. She released a photography book, in collaboration with the man who helped make her famous, Stephen Meisel. But this wasn't just a collection of pretty pictures. It wasn't a trip down memory lane. It was reclamation. A full circle moment where she took back the narrative, not as a muse, but as the author. Inside the pages, you won't just find fashion and glamour. You'll find truth. You'll see the woman behind the lens, the pain etched in subtle expressions, the vulnerability in every frame. And most of all, you'll feel control. Linda said it best, "I want to be seen. How I choose to be seen." After decades of being seen on everyone else's terms, on runways, magazine covers, and ad campaigns, she was finally taking the spotlight back. Not to be admired, not to be desired, but to be understood. This wasn't about being the most beautiful woman in the world. It was about being human. Every line on her face, every chapter of silence, every scar, emotional and physical, was now part of her portrait. She had once been the symbol of perfection. Now, she was the symbol of survival. The book didn't ask for sympathy. It demanded respect. And through it, Linda gave us something few icons ever do. Permission. Permission to age. Permission to hurt. Permission to be more than just a face. And so the final question isn't about beauty or fashion or fame. It's this: what do we really see when we look at someone like Linda Evangelista? Is it a supermodel, a broken story, a comeback? Or is it something deeper? A reflection of all of us trying to find our place in a world obsessed with appearances. Here's the truth no one said out loud. The moment Linda Evangelista stopped being beautiful in the world's eyes, the world stopped seeing her at all. No headlines, no questions, just silence. Because for decades, beauty was her identity. Her face opened shows, sold dreams, built empires. But what happens when that face changes? When pain replaces perfection? When time leaves marks no camera can ignore? The world looks away, not out of cruelty, but out of discomfort. Linda didn't just vanish because of a cosmetic procedure gone wrong. She vanished because the world didn't know how to see her anymore. And that's the real wound. This isn't just about fashion or fame. It's about what happens when a woman's worth is measured in youth and flawlessness, and nothing more. It's about a culture that punishes aging, that rewards silence, that fears imperfection. Linda's pain wasn't just physical. It was emotional. It was existential. She was forced to hide her own face, not because she couldn't accept it, but because we couldn't. The ultimate price she paid? Not her fame, not her fortune, but her right to be seen as herself. This isn't a comeback to modeling. It's a message to every person who's ever felt judged by their looks, age, scars, or silence. You are more than what the world sees. So now we ask you, what does it really cost to be beautiful? In a world that fears imperfection, comment your thoughts. We want to hear your voice. If Linda's story moved you, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who needs strength today. Because behind every spotlight, There's a story that deserves to be seen.